Hey, this is Cullen Bunn, the writer of The Six Gun, Magneto, and Sinestro, and you are listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Right out of the park with that one, motherfucker. That's a good one. Yeah, you struck blood with that on the first swing. It's impressive. It's impressive.
You want to just keep it and just never do it again?
No, that one was impressive. Fucking strong. Right for the throat. You grabbed the
ass
throat.
mouth. Jesus.
Hey, New Year.
Apparently. New Year blue Vince.
Yeah. Strong.
Okay.
That was impressive AF.
Wow. He loves it.
That was a real good one. No, it was.
Vince
It was.
took some ginkgo biloba before we started recording.
Nah, my blood pressure's high. But we're good. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year.
Hey, 2024.
Craziness. Welcome to 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 887. I am Vince B. I remain Vince B.
Thank heavens for that.
You
Never. I am David A. Price.
This is true, and of course, I'm Baby New Year.
Aw. You got your little diaper and monocle on.
I do. The safety pin's holding it up just ever so slightly.
The giant safety pins like Baby Huey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not Baby New Year. You're Jason Wood, everybody. And we're all together on the first episode of the new year, and we're going to try something a little different. We'll explain it to you when we get there. But before we do that, we want to let you know, to make you aware of who's presenting this to you. And it's cheapgraphicnovels.com. Start the new year off right. Save some damn money. Comics are expensive as it is.
Oof.
Don't pay more than you have to. Go to cheapgraphicnovels.com if you're looking for an omnibus. Who isn't? A trade paperback collection, maybe an OGN, or some manga, all of which will have categories on our 11 O'Clockers, which are coming up. So if you have a void to fill and you need to read it in time for the 11 O'Clockers, you're probably shit out of luck. Because cheap graphic novels are fast, but they're not that fast.
Oh, true.
Yeah, because our 11 O'Clockers is going to be in a couple days, right? As the crow flies, I'm saying. Like maybe next week or the week after, right?
Yeah, week after probably. Yeah.
So maybe you do have time. You're just looking for one of those aforementioned formats. Well, you're going to go to Amazon. You're going to see maybe you get like 12% off or 18%. Big deal. Not a whole lot. You go to cheapgraphicnovels.com. The trend is 30 to 40% off. That's craziness. Crazy. And once you place your order, you're going to get an email confirmation thanking you for doing so. You're going to reply to that email confirmation saying, woohoo, Dap and the boys at 11 O'Clock Comics sent me. And Max is going to say, well, you're friggin' smart because you're getting free shipping on your next order. My dude, welcome to the new year. It's a new paradigm. cheapgraphicnovels.com.
Nice.
I'm lit.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Right.
I am
Fired up.
I'm a little lit because I started a little early.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have
lubrication.
It's an embarrassment of riches in the beer department. My brothers-in-law and myself do a beer swap for Christmas. And my daughter also gave me beer. So I have many different kinds. I grabbed 2, which does not necessarily mean I'm drinking 2 beers, but 2 different kinds of beers. There's a hint. All these are 16 ounces. This is called the Half Acre, looks like Tend. Yes, it is. It's the Western type with the big block fonts. It's not pretty, but it's a Half Acre Tend Winter India Pale Ale. That's 16 ounces. And the ABV on this bad boy is 6.8. Not much. But then I got from New Trail Brewing, which is kind of local. Yeah, Susquehanna, I think. No, Williamsport. New Trail Broken Heels Hazy IPA which is another 16-ouncer, but this one's 7% alcohol by volume. So not very high in the ABV, but skyrocketing in taste. How's that shit? Yeah.
Taste escalation.
Yep.
Yeah. What you drinking, Boo?
I mean, I wish I could follow it up with anything exciting, but the only thing I have to drink this evening, sitting next to me, is a flask of water.
You could have said flagon.
A flask.
Yeah, it's not a flagon, but yeah.
But they don't know. It
true.
could be a velvet slipper, and they wouldn't know.
It's true. I've cut back my caffeine. No caffeine after 4 o'clock now. So.
Oh my God! You're gonna be like
Wow.
an amoeba soon.
Well, I just read a lot in the last few weeks about cortisol and how it affects your ability to, especially as you get older, to like add muscle and so.
You a doomsday prepper? You get into
Not
that
at
shit?
all.
Well, so
Oh, no,
like,
God.
so just because you read about cortisol and now you're just gonna curtail the caffeine. Caffeine is one of the purest joys of life.
Well, that's why I'm not giving it up. I'm just not. It's just I'm not having it at 4 o'clock. That's all.
Oh man, I just can't. I can't.
That's great. It's gonna. I 2 years ago I did about like 95% of my fitness was cardio. Then last year I tried to move it and it was probably 70-30. And this year I wanted to try and do 50-50, but I got to really try and make sure that I'm, putting myself in the best position. It's no surprise that at 49 years old that you're not exactly playing with a stacked deck in that department. It ain't easy. So, I'm just trying to maximize the opportunity. If Jeff Bezos can do it, I gotta go with it.
Yeah, you're in really good company there.
Seriously.
It's so funny how people cringe at Jeff Bezos. Like everybody wouldn't want to be him. He's not Elon Musk.
I wouldn't want to be
He's
either
mad
of
liberal.
them.
He's liberal, yes, but I mean, the whole. It's not gonna get. It's just the whole
Right.
workers' rights and things like that. But that's not a topic for now.
Well, with this dude, that's not a topic forever.
I know. That's why you got to read the room, man.
Yeah. Hey, damn capitalist bastard.
Exactly why I said it.
Full disclosure to those who are listening, if I may or may not own a very large position in Amazon stock.
There you go.
So,
Yep.
Good. Tell them to fix my shit.
how about you, Dap? What are you drinking?
I am enjoying a lowball of, not full, of Bardstown Bourbon Company Origin Series. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It was my favorite whiskey find of 2023. It's a 96 proof. I had it before on the show, but I haven't had it lately, so I bought a bottle before the holidays and finally cracked it open tonight.
Nice.
A little splash of seltzer with it. Open it up. It's really good.
Respect.
That was maybe an unconscious act, but you provided me with an excellent segue.
Oof. Okay.
Because you said it was your favorite whiskey of favorite whiskey find of 2023.
Yes.
Which implies that you have a ranking system. Well, you know what, people playing at home? We do too. We have a ranking system, and it's the 11 O'Closcars, this thing we do every year at the beginning of the new year that ranks all of our favorite stuff from the previous year. And we, in the past, we would get a little bit carried away. Like, it wasn't enough for us to just say, okay, my favorite book in the blah, blah, blah category is this. No, we used to go down a list of runners-up. But just, some more than others. I'm very guilty of that because I like to spread the love around. And when you cross the finish line, it's nice to give a little pat on the back to the guys that just about made it but didn't quite get there in time. So this episode, I don't know what we're going to call it. It is the top 5 contenders in any category for the 2023 11 O'Closcars. You can call it top 5 also rans. You can call it top 5 attaboys. I don't know what you want to call it. Honorable mentions. Yeah, it's just here's what we did. we picked 5 categories, randomly, maybe, and ones that we were dead certain we knew what the winner was going to be. And then gave a nice little pinch on the butt to a book that just, for whatever reason, just didn't get across that finish line. We just spreading the love. This is another episode where we're just throwing the joy in every direction because comics are great. So we want to give a little bit more accolades to the books that you won't hear in the 2023 11 O'Closkers coming up in 2 weeks, according to Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah,
That's
so,
right.
So
now, I got to ask, because the way you explained it is I made a top 5 list. I didn't necessarily link them directly to which category they were runners up in.
Well, see, that's counterproductive.
I could probably do that as we go.
Yeah, it just amazes me that you would not already just know to do that.
No, that's the approach we were taking. I thought it was just 5 things that we
that's why I was
strongly about, but knew we weren't going to make it. It wasn't going to make it on the list somewhere.
That's cool. That's good. That's fine. Okay. I have 5 different categories. 5 books from 5 different categories.
Yeah.
I think I'm there. I mean, I'm looking at my 5, so I'm not. But I just have to just quickly denote that, if you will, so to speak.
Nice. So you can do it on the fly, I'm sure. Because can I start with something? It's my biggest.
We're going right in.
Yeah, right in.
Oh, I'm saying because let's talk about the O'Closkers then while we have their attention.
Oh, please do.
Yes, this here O'Closkers is a big part of it. For those of you that haven't listened in the past 8 or 9 years, is we take each category, we each give our favorite choice, and then we also give. Based on a voting from the listenership, we give a third, second, and first of your votes. So the audience effectively gets equal runtime to us. 3 from us, 3 from you. And the best way to make all of those votes meaningful is to vote. And we need some votes. We're doing all right, but we're running substantively behind our prior highs in that category. And I don't know if it's that folks aren't going to the website URL or if folks just aren't reading as much current, but whatever. I know you're out there. I know you're reading lots of comics. So you can get to, it's a Google form, and it goes through all the questions. All you have to do is have a Gmail account. If you do, you can vote. And you go to 11 O'Clock Comics, the top left tab, you will see an O'Closkers tab. You click on that, it'll bring you to the form. Or you can go to 11o'clockcomics.com/the-2023-11-O'Closkers. That's a lot. That's why it's easier to use the tab. That's the URL. And then there's a tiny URL as well, which is tinyurl.com/O'Closkers2023. Not that tiny, but it's as good as you can get with a long thing like that. Anyway, go to any of those, vote. There's also a link to this. I've recently pinned link on the Facebook group for 11 O'Clock Comics. For those of you listening that are on the Slack channel, you probably already know this, but there is an O'Closkers channel in the Slack. And remember, you're incentivized to vote because not only are you helping us, you're helping yourself. If you submit a full ballot, which identifies 80% of the questions answered, you will be entered into a random drawing that we do on the recording night, and the winner of that will get a gift certificate to cheapgraphicnovels.com.
See, it's crazy.
And it is, and the more of you that submit ballots, the higher that number goes. It can go all the way up to $200, but in order to get there, you all got to participate and vote. So get on it.
Incentive is a good thing.
Yeah, if we're recording, we've said we're going to record on the 18th, so it's 2 weeks from now. That would be Thursday the 18th. In that case, I will close the balloting on probably Monday night. So Monday the 15th.
Yep.
I will probably close the ballots to give me time to download the data and clean it up, because there's often sometimes people put things that they mean something but it's misspelled. So take some time to clean the data up and make sure it's tight. But so Monday the 15th is our tentative closing of the ballots.
Or vote for books that were never published in 2020.
or published before, or
And to further clarify what we're doing tonight, is we're just trying to pare down the eventual 11 O'Closkers for 2023. Make it a little bit terse, a little bit more terse, because we used to go for, I think one year we actually did 4 hours, right?
Yeah, one year we actually broke it up into 2 episodes.
Yeah. You need to check.
That was early. That was when we didn't have it refined, and I think that was still a Niesman year, so we had four people talking each about that kind of stuff. So
right. And my categories are in no particular order, but there are 5 of them. So in order, we like to call it top 5. Whenever we do a list, we call it top 5, but there's no ranking system here. Unless you count my biggest disappointment of 2023, which was also one of my biggest joys. And I'm going to tell you about that right now. We have rules for the 11 O'Closkers. If it's a miniseries, it needs to end in 2023 to be in the running for the 11 O'Closkers. This book filled me with all kinds of joy and could fit in multiple categories. It could fit in, had it ended in 2023. It's a miniseries. It could fit in favorite miniseries. It could fit in favorite horror book, but I disqualified it from both of those categories and more because the damn thing, the last issue came out the first week of January. Like, Cullen, you couldn't have tweaked this baby, so it came out in 2023. I am talking about the amazing Midnight Show miniseries, written by Cullen Bunn, illustrated by Brian Hurt, color art by Bill Crabtree. I just loved this thing, and it's a perfect little 4-issue miniseries. Remember 4-issue miniseries? Today it's usually 5 or 6. There's a 4-issue miniseries about classic monsters, Monster Kids, the movie going experience, art as life, life as art. It's just amazing, and the damn thing ended in 2024. So that's my biggest, I mean, my heart is crushed that I can't do something with the Midnight Show for the 2023 O'Closkers. There's really, other than favorite single issue, I could lie and say the first issue of Midnight Show was my favorite single issue of, just to get it in, but that's not fair, because then there was a one-shot that did capture my heart more than the first issue of Midnight. I don't want to force it in, right? You're going to hear about it a lot in 2024, but I can't use it for 2023, and that sucks because it was great. Capital G, great. Midnight Show.
It's perfect. It's bittersweet because absolutely, if it finished by the end of December, I think it would be on a lot of people's list.
It would have freaking swept. It would have. Yeah, I may have even nominated Cullen as favorite writer and Brian as favorite, illustrator. I can't now. I mean, I can, because the majority of it came out, but it's still unfinished. It should have finished in 2023. You could have shipped it a week earlier. It was done. Whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Are we doing the snake or one after another?
No, we're doing the snake because, who wants to hear me talk all 5 at once? That
sound you heard was everybody's hands being raised at once.
Deodorant, people. Come on.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not con season, so. Oh, man. You want to go next, Jason?
Oh, my God.
If not, I'll go. It's. I mean, I don't
even. Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry, I was on mute. You'd think this was my first turn.
You would. You would think that.
I'm sitting here saying, "Yeah, I'll go. You go." When you keep talking.
You go, my brother. He's not hearing me. Check your network while your connection while you're doing it, because you're breaking up a little bit.
Better late than ever.
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you, dude.
All right.
That's unlike the present.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you got?
Okay. So, this was not a good year for me with superhero comics. There weren't many that really spoke to me in any meaningful way. And my choice was easy, but we'll get to that in a few weeks. So, my first runner-up honorable mention of the night is Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson, Leonardo Romero, and Jordi Belair by DC Comics. We talked about this with Kelly, actually.
Yes.
In episode 859. And, I really have enjoyed it. We got the 5th issue this week. We got 4 in 2023. I think it's off to an awesome start. I'm loving it, but it's just a bit too early in the journey with 4 issues for me to make it my superhero pick.
It's a good choice.
Thank you.
Very, very good looking book. And I've read 2 of them, and they were great. Nice.
There you go.
I am going to go with a runner-up for or an honorable mention to favorite suspense or horror book. It's one that I came way late to the party on this compared to everybody else, but I dove into the first trade and ate it up with a big old spoon, and then read the second volume, and then got caught up on the singles, waiting for this series to unfortunately wrap up, and it is Dark Ride.
Yeah, you did come in a little late.
I came in very late, and I came in when it was 2/3 over practically, and it's Williams is doing great stuff. The art is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not big on horror, and so it takes something special to kind of hook me and then keep me coming back. And Dark Ride definitely did it, because there's a lot of twists and turns. It's not as straightforward as one might think reading the first issue or two, because the way the characters are set up, you're kind of designed to dislike or root for, or just it might seem like you kind of know the direction they're going in, and it really isn't.
Yeah, I think the whole book is filled with unlikable characters. Like,
absolutely.
Even Summer,
yeah.
She's got like this hard edge to her. But the like Sam, douchebag to start off with, became the most likable character in the book, which is
what I'm saying.
What is happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a full disclosure to people playing at home. We get Skybound emails and press releases and preview copies. And today we got an email that centered on Dark Ride. And one of the pull quotes was, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, but the gist of it was, can't wait to see where this book is going. And where it's going is to issue 12, and then it's stopping. So, and this is a promotion for what will be issue 10. So it's like, yeah, we could have done without that as a pull quote, because as a pull quote, it doesn't work, because the series is ending in two issues. 3, if you count 10 as being unpublished, which it is. But I just thought it was a little bit of black humor appropriate for this book, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the corpse is twitching, and it'll have 3 issues left to twitch. All right. I also have a runner-up for favorite superhero book. My winner is Clear Cut, or was Clear Cut, and will be revealed in a couple weeks. But if you go back and listen to how many times I brought this book up over 2023, this book should be my winner. But the quality of my winner just eked out that win. But my favorite superhero book, were it not for the existence of the one that you'll hear in a couple weeks, is Wolverine. Written by Benjamin Percy, illustrated by Juan Jose Rip, and color art by Frank Darmada. I talked about this book many episodes.
You did, man.
Last year.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah, because you did talk about it a lot.
I loved what this group did with this book. I know it's a little salt in the wound for you, but the turning Beast into a heel, I think is perfect because I don't like him as a face. So as a heel, he works for me. Mm-hmm. And the whole Dark Beast saga with the clones and the Weapons of X and the Krakoa, it was just a great book. And the thing that really pulled me into it was Juan Jose Rip's art. He's on Immortal now. Like it's just, it keeps going. The joy keeps going. So I hope they're making his efforts lucrative for him because I think he's great. And he fits the X books really well. So my could have been favorite superhero book for 2023 Wolverine.
I love it. It's a very good pick.
Thanks.
For you. Because you did bring it up probably more than almost any other comic this year.
Truth.
Okay, so I'm up. So this would be a runner-up for favorite collected reprint. And that is, now I consumed it in, as I think most people have, in a collected graphic novel this year. But it's a collection of a couple hundred web comics into a narrative book. And the book is called Why Don't You Love Me? Written and drawn by Paul Rainey, published by Drawn and Quarterly. I spoke on it back in episode 843. And this was the book, you guys may remember, that I loved and hated. And the reason I couldn't put it on the ballot is because, I think it was maybe last week, Vince, you were saying how in today's world we can just, if we're not enjoying a comic, there's so much else out there, or anything really, not just comics, but like TV, right? Whatever you're into, like it's just, there's so much content now. You can just if you're not enjoying it, just put it aside, right? It's like, you don't have to finish something. Well, if you remember with Why Don't You Love Me, for like half the book, I hated it, and I was like very close, like within a few pages of saying, "I'm done reading this. I don't. There's no point," because it just read like page after page of this husband and wife and family who are horrible people, and just like in Chris Ware style art animation, basically just walked around being awful to each other and their kids. And I was like waiting for the point. I'm like, what's the point? Like I don't get it. Like, is this all your Rainey has to say? Because I'm pretty tired of it. Like I get the message here. They're pieces of shit. And then halfway through a multi-100-page collected edition, you get this twist. And the twist is so good that I dare you to Google what's the Why Don't You Love Me twist, and you will see, I don't know, dozens of reviews from major publications about the book, and you will find not a single one will have told you the twist. That's how good the twist is. And it completely changed the book in a meaningful way, and then makes everything you endured before that feel completely different. And so overall, like, I think the book is an achievement and actually really well executed. But I still, in good conscience, don't think it's reasonable to ask people to read 200 pages of something without them knowing there's a twist coming, and then like being saved by a twist. I think that's not, Right. Now, again, as we talked about on the show, and it's gotten good reviews, if you go into it knowing there's a big twist, your experience is probably going to be far more positive, because you'll kind of just almost be like just running the miles of that race through that part, saying, okay, but I know this is going to go in a different direction. So, but I didn't have that. I wasn't afforded that. I read this without having seen that or read a review or anything. And so for me, it's a very, very good book. It's worthy of praise, but because of the mechanism of how we got to the interesting part, I can't put it on my ballot.
Right. I'm not a big fan of you got to give it. That's actually a deterrent for me if someone's like, oh, you got to see the series, but you got to give it like 4 or 5 episodes before it really clicks in. It's like, no, I do not have time to give it 4 episodes unless it's from someone whose work I trust. Like if David Lynch has a new series and it's like, you got to give it 4 episodes, like, okay, I'm going in. But if it's, an unknown, untested person, and I'm told to give it 5 episodes, I'd be like, yeah, you do you. It's good. See you later. I'm not doing it. Yeah. Because, like you said, why not just pick up a book by Stephen King or other notable and start reading that? Like, I know what I'm going to get from the get-go. Dap, what do you have?
My favorite new comic that started in 2023, unfortunately started very, very late in 2023. This may very well could make it on favorite ongoing or the whole enchilada for next year as we go through 2024. But with only 2 issues in, and I absolutely love these 2 issues, and I can't wait to see where it's going. My favorite new comic is runner-up is Petrolhead.
Wow, that's a good choice. Yeah.
It's so, I mean, I'm like, November is when it came out, and I was like, shit, man, we're only going to get 2 issues. There's no way, like, unless maybe I decide, breakout talent or artist I could probably do. But
you need to stop talking right now.
I do. So I'm not giving anything away. I don't want to spoil for anybody else. But it's such it's a gorgeous book. It's exciting. Like,
it's electric, man.
It really is. It's so kinetic. It's so fast paced. As it's supposed to be, but it's just, man, I cannot wait to see where it's going. And after only 2 issues, for me to say that I'm you can't see how close my fingers are, but I'd be this close to maybe kind of just bending my own little self-imposed rules for certain things. But this is fantastic start. Absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't started it yet, by all means, get on it. But yeah, it's one of my favorite new things of 2023.
And they're off. Yeah, what a great book. This next one was tough for me. It's my favorite ongoing, and my process is for ongoing. Yes, there are many books out there that are ongoings, but when I think ongoing, I think of something with a little bit of weight, a little bit of longevity behind it. Like 4 issues is not. Well, it may be an ongoing. 4 issues doesn't even qualify with me, because I like, what's the book month after month after month that I enjoy reading that has given me much entertainment in 2023? This book came close, but I had to slap it down a little bit because of the delays in the production. Could have been my favorite ongoing had Ice Cream Man come out more often. Written by W. Maxwell Prince, illustrated by Martin Marazzo, with color art by Chris O'Halloran. I mean, we got a good amount of Ice Cream Man in 2023, but not enough to eclipse the book that eventually got the nod from me. I really enjoy Ice Cream Man when it comes out. Yeah.
Nice.
I can see that.
Well, there's a lot of meat on those bones that we talked about it. The whale issue didn't do it for Jason, but it just fascinates me the true, like, what there's a skeleton for Ice Cream Man. There's a narrative framework thing that is built, but the meat that's placed on it is just so strange, and it just equally fascinates and bewilders me. So I really love Ice Cream Man. I just wish it would come out like regularly.
Nice. Okay. Well, I have a big one. Like, gonna rumble some folks.
Okay.
And this would have been my pick for best new comic, if there wasn't another one. But it ain't gonna make it, and that is Transformers, written and drawn by our good friend Mr. Daniel Warren Johnson. We had Daniel on the show to discuss said book on episode 868, and I love the book. Absolutely love it so far, but we've only got a few issues so far, and it just ran into a buzzsaw for me of another book, so it didn't make the cut for me.
Wow, that is pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm bringing the heat. I'm not gonna give any fringe books, and we're gonna really make it anyway. I'm giving you the books people are listening and thinking, oh, I'm sure this is gonna be Woods Ballad somewhere. And
right? Yeah, I'm guessing that it does appear somewhere else.
Oh no, I'm not playing that. Oh, no, if I'm mentioning it tonight, it's not on the ballot
for any category.
In any category.
Any category.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Love it.
That's fucked
up.
up.
I love
because I think that's like it. Then that's too because like we have so many categories, you can make things fit in lots of spaces. No, Transformers will not be on my ballot.
Wow, that's take no prisoners.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I'm a little scared of you.
Not at all.
That's what I'm doing.
Wow.
It ain't on it. If it ain't on it, it ain't on it.
I just hope next time we see DWJ, he slaps you with his dick. That's all.
Considering the amount of lucre that is rolling into my man's pockets from these covers that he's done.
You'd have to climb up to the throne before he could slap you.
He literally bought Scrooge McDuck's vault in the secondary market after the last Felix drop.
Well, he deserves it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good for him.
I don't know yet if I can make that same statement. No, obviously not. I can't. But I'm mentioning this as this was a tight race for a favorite limited series, and right now, 3 for 3, the image is sweeping my runners up. But my favorite limited series was another sequel, not by these creators, but another follow up in that sticky, wacky genre that Doug Wagner and Daniel Hilliard like to throw our way. This time with Rico Renzi. This was Plush. Was one of my favorite, absolutely one of my top favorite limited series of 2023.
Huh.
These shows are great because it's so. As much as we talk about things that we all enjoy together, this show is, and the O'Closcars, and maybe less so the O'Closcars, but it's nice to illustrate how we have outer tales of our interests that don't necessarily hit as hard for the others.
Deb talked about it on the show. He talked about Plush.
No, you're missing the point. I'm saying I don't Plush doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
But yet it's very close to being on DAP's O'Closcars. I'm sure some of the things I mentioned wouldn't even have considered to be on your list, right? But to me, they're almost made it. That's what I'm saying. This is interesting. We're sort of the fringes of what we love about comics, or sometimes they overlap, sometimes they don't.
Right. I understood what he meant.
Oh, okay. Well, you're trying to defend DAP. I'm not saying DAP didn't talk about Plush.
I have a shocker as well.
Oh, okay.
This may be more shocking than no Transformers on Jason's ballot. Because I'm a creature of habit, right?
Oh.
Yep. And last year, we got, to my estimation here, at least three books by this man. We got Tombs, we got Soichi, and we got Mimi's Tales of Terror. Junji Ito does not appear in my favorite manga category or anywhere else on my ballot.
Old.
What does that mean, old?
Bold, I said bold.
Oh, I thought you said bold. It is bold because Junji's my go-to. Favorite manga, boom. It has to be a Junji Ito book, or favorite horror. There we go. Slide it in, Coverdale style. But no, I can't. There are things this year that surpassed Mr. Ito, and to be totally honest, the last two. I mean, I enjoyed Mimi, and Soichi was fun. The only one that, of the three, that I think compares favorably with his previous work is Tombs. So not a very strong year. I mean, sure, financially, I'm guessing Mr. Ito had a wonderful year. But creatively, I don't think these last three measure up, which is why Junji Ito will not be escaping my lips in 2 weeks. Crazy, right?
That is crazy.
I think I've managed to find a comfortable niche for him over the past 5 years, or probably more. I don't think there's been an O'Closcar in the last 5-6 years where I have not uttered the name Junji Ito.
I think you're right.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a little strange.
Mm.
I kind of like it.
I love it's dangerous.
Yeah. Who knows? We're unpredictable here on 11
You
o'clock
never
Comics.
know.
You just don't. You could step on an aesthetic landmine and not even know it. And then you got to deal with it.
Got to.
Yeah. What else?
Okay, so we're up to my fourth. Normally, the hardest thing for me is to fit. A lot of my favorites tend to be graphic novels, and it's always like, well, okay, I can put this here, I can put this in this category, but inevitably there's a couple that I adored and just can't quite fit into any particular category because they're edged out by something that's a little bit more meaningful to me. And for my fourth pick, that is what we're dealing with. This would be in the hunt for my favorite graphic novel, but it didn't make it. Original graphic novel. And that is Anais Nin, Sea of Lies, written and drawn by Leonie Bischoff, originally in French, but translated this year beautifully by Fantagraphics. We talked about it on episode 858 for those playing at home. It's an incredible book. It's an erotica book. Anais is a fascinating woman who, in the 1920s, was overtly sexual and open-minded at a time when that just was not her, that was just absolutely intolerable, especially for women, and really carried that boldness through her entire life. But this book pretty much focuses on her early time emerging into being sort of one of the leading thought makers, man or woman, in erotica. And it's just an incredible book that the illustrations really do evoke that sense of like eroticism and beauty that to me makes the book special, and then I found, not knowing the woman well, I found her story to be fascinating as well. So great book. If we had like a favorite autobio or, favorite nonfiction, something like that, I might have considered it, but we don't, so it's not going to make it.
So sad. But they do get a consolation prize this episode. So win-win, right?
That's right.
I think it would compel someone to check out a book even more so, where if it was just like, this would have won my category if not for the winner. You can't really say that. I mean, you can, but people don't pay attention to that in an award show because they want to hear what the winner is. But on a laid back, little discourse like this, if you mention it, people will be like, oh, wasn't aware of that book. I'm going to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe just making shit up. Who knows? Yeah.
What's your fourth, Dan?
I think I am going to go with favorite fantasy book. And what?
That's my next one.
Well, there you go.
Oh, nice. There you go.
How did you know?
Because.
Wonder if you guys picked the same one.
No.
Probably not. Maybe. But it is. It would be Magic Order book. What would I have to 4 with this year?
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I after reading the first volume, I then just went through the next 3, or actually the next 2, and then the big game was kind of coming out almost as the series was nearing.
Yeah.
The 4th volume was nearing its end, but no, that it's just whether it's Quapel or Dyke, or the art's been amazing, but and again, it's another book where you even if you kind of know where you're going to end up, the some of it might be a little predictable, and the destination could be obvious. It's all about the journey with the Magic Order, because you do want to see good prevail, but good is going to go through a whole hell of a lot of crap before they can kind of win the day. So between the art, between the suspense, between what Miller's doing, the words he's putting in people's faces, it's a lot of fun. It's crazy, and it's really pretty. And there's a lot there that I really, really enjoy. It's just not enough to make it my favorite fantasy book of 2023.
Nice. You're saving that for the big game, clearly.
For fantasy? Oh, yeah. Because they do go back in time, so sure.
I think that's a good turn of phrase for everything Miller does. That it's the journey, not the destination.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
that fits
a lot of what he writes.
I mean, that's
know where it's going.
I think that's his modus operandi, right?
Yeah.
It's it's not how did we. It's not how we got. Yeah, no, it is. It's how we got here. Not look where we are. Yeah,
right.
My guy was prolific this year.
For real. Sure. I mean, I had to cross his name off a bunch of ballots.
Nightclub was mostly this year. It started in 2002, but it was mostly this year. Nemesis, we got Nemesis Reloaded, right? We got the Ambassadors.
Yep.
Got the Ambassadors, which was close to making it.
We have the aforementioned Magic Order, and then we got the big game as well. So
crazy.
That's a lot of output.
Crazy prolific.
Yeah.
I thank him for his efforts. I'm not awarding him anything for them, but thank you for those efforts. No, he kept me entertained in 23.
For sure.
Whereas any year previously, you couldn't say that. I couldn't say that. I would never consider putting Mark Miller on any of my best of ballots. And this year, the books were contenders for many categories. Yeah. Keeping it favorite fantasy, unlike Jason, I had a lot of books punching each other for the right to say favorite fantasy book. I won't go down the list because that may tip you off as to the winner. But the winner was ridiculously ahead of all the other ones. Like, not even close. But this one was a contender. And again, Jason's not going to understand it. Maybe Dap will. But a contender for my favorite fantasy book for 2023 was Edenwood by Tony S. Daniel, who wrote and illustrated it, and Leonardo Pacioretty does the color. I wish I had his number, his digits, as Jason would say. Call my dude Tony S. Daniel and say, Tony, slow down. You're giving too much away. Because every issue is jam-packed with stuff. It's breakneck speed. He's doing subplots and subplots and past events and future. It's like, stop. It's too much. It's like a delicious dish of pasta, and then they give you a bowl of meatballs on the side. Do you really need the meatballs? The pasta's great, but the meatballs are there. And that's what Edenwood is. It's just there's so much to love, and there's so much of it that it's a weighty, heady experience, and I love it. But it did not catch up to that.
The third issue today, and we're introducing.
Oh, you read it?
Characters. Yeah, it's like, dude,
the last page of issue 2. Oh, here's 5-6 new characters. They don't even factor into the shit that's going on in issue 3. Like, now we got vampires? Like, what?
And now we got the governor?
Yeah,
I don't. It's
too much. It's too much.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Giant babies. Like, what is happening? But I like that. I like if you can surprise me. I never would expect to turn a page and see a giant baby going, Mommy. So there you go.
Yeah, there's value in that for sure.
Sure, there is. You just don't understand it, but that's okay.
Oh, my God. I read it. Like, I could like it. I just haven't read it.
No, I guarantee you won't like it.
I don't know.
Nah, if I know my Jason, he won't. Yeah.
So my fifth and final, and again, for those that I think this was before, I don't remember if we said this before or after we recorded, but I originally didn't make a list based on each specific category because as I said, all of these that you're hearing tonight are not on the ballot anywhere. And so this one is going to be the boot shaker. The what? Because this collective group of creators and their output have been littered throughout our lists for years after year. I mean, I don't know that there's been a year where they or their work haven't appeared on our list in some way, shape, or form. But this year, my friends, you will not see Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, Jacob Phillips, Night Fever, or Where Their Body Was on Woodrow's 11 O'Clockers ballot.
That's fucked up. I can't have that. No.
I don't.
Yeah, somebody else will be in the seat of Jason Wood next year.
Yeah. Or last ever 11 O'Clockers.
I think they're both amazing books, but they have set a very high bar against one another, and I would be lying. And by the way, I think if we listened to the episodes, you guys would be lying too, if you enjoyed either as much as you enjoy Reckless. And you can hear those conversations. We actually did a book of the month on Night Fever, which was episode 864. And then we talked about Where the Body Was to some degree, at least Tony Fleece and I did, on episode 885.
Yes, we did.
We did. We liked Night Fever.
No, and Where the Body Was, I did talk. The three of us talked.
I don't think any of us, though, about either said that we thought they were as good as Reckless. But
that's a given.
Oh, I was the one who said that Where the Body Was, I felt I preferred Night Fever over Where the Body Was. But yes, absolutely.
That's crazy talk, Jason.
Nothing. No.
Shaker. They're not on my list in any way. There's, even like a place where I could always stick them in years like Best Crime book, mystery or crime book. It didn't make. There was something I liked better this year. So, yeah.
That's
Sayonara and Sean.
Wow.
Conceivable.
It is because.
Plus, I knew you would have them on there all throughout your list. So it's not they're not going to get love.
I'm not going to tell you how many categories.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Pick Ed as your creator of the year like every other year, so I just assume.
Nope, not this year. My favorite writer is not Ed Brubaker.
I am confident that we don't have a Zoe this year, though. We don't have.
We don't have a sweep.
We don't have one book where.
Nah, I doubt it.
Shower it with flowers.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was that kind of year because also before I get to mine, there was also. I mean, I was looking over the list, and I'm noticing. I'm looking over my personal reading list, and I'm noticing gaps, and that's because DC had that stupid Night Terrors, wherever the fuck it was. It's like, why are you interrupting things? Like, it's impossible to kind of for me to compile everything when I'm noticing these gaps, and I'm like, and so I don't think last year, 2023, I'm pretty sure I didn't read as many of certain categories as I have in years past, only because of what was available. But breaking the image streak for my favorite runner-ups of runners-up of 2023. My favorite superhero book is from Marvel, and it is Miles Morales' Spider-Man.
You mean your favorite runner-up?
Yes. It's still. I mean, yeah. I'm reading off the notes, and it's. I copied the favorite superhero book. But yes, it is. It's my runner-up.
That's in character. Very much in character. Yeah.
For me or for Miles?
For you.
That what?
That you enjoyed that book. That's very much in character.
I mean, I'm not alone, but yes.
No, I went from the Carnage related issues that I read were good. I like to see Gargan as an Obi-Wan. That's fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that crossover, and I think as silly as it may have been for the crossover to happen as within that series as early as it did, hopefully with any Carnage fans who haven't tried the new Miles book and any Venom fans, then maybe maybe they stuck around after. But I think Vincenzi's art is fantastic. I'm enjoying what Ziegler's doing. It's a fun book, and it's nice that I'm able to enjoy a Spidey book, because it's rare these days.
Did they pull Miles into the gang war? I'm sure they did.
Oh yeah, they did, and I'm not. Yeah, and so I'm not. I'm in no rush to read those issues because I don't know why they pick and choose certain events where when a character who has an ongoing, they're going to just give them a 3-issue miniseries so that it can fit within that event and leave the ongoing alone. But yeah, the new Spider-Woman book, amazing. Miles, anything that's in that. I think Luke Cage is
the fucking jackpot got pulled into the gang war.
Yes,
stop.
That going with her.
I know, but that disqualifies the entire event. If you got to pull Mary Jane into it, you're done. What's the value of the event? Now you got the herpes, so your books are dead.
Apropos of nothing, I will say that I finished Spider-Man 2 this week.
Yeah. Wow, you played it fast.
It was amazing, absolutely incredible, and I was thinking as I was playing it, like, this is a better Spider-Man story than we've gotten.
For sure,
like in years. Yeah. Especially this one, because the game just intertwines. Pete and Miles are in the game together throughout most of the game, which is great. But Mary Jane is
Krakow
is in the book, but she is an investigative journalist.
Okay.
Christ.
How do you spell that? Is it IT' or ITS? You figure it out there, redhead. Okay.
Wow, you talk about some ginger hate going on.
No, I don't have. I know it's MJ hate. I love gingers.
Remember, this isn't the 616 universe. She's very competent in this.
Yeah, it must be a fantasy then.
It's a fantasy book. Yep. Yeah, it's a fantasy game.
Yep.
And she does at one point it's very symbiote heavy, this game, Vince.
Ooh, but I don't have
the whole premise is the first half the major villain is Kraven, and then the second half of the game the villain is Venom.
Nice. I don't have a whole lot of love for Kraven. Should have stayed dead.
Absolutely, that was.
This is. I mean, again, in the video game universe, this is him. This is the last hunt. It's basically the last hunt in the video game,
right?
Which is pretty dope.
I always thought it was weird that Kraven was a Spider-Man villain to begin with. Like maybe Kazar, or but Spider-Man. Okay. Yeah, I would always groan. But again, groaning
the vest,
at
man. I don't get the vest.
No,
with the eyes,
but
it's like
but groaning at Kraven and fist pumping at Stegron, like the joke's on me, right?
Yeah, very very much.
Yes. Yeah, I love Stegron, but there are people out there who'd be like, that fucking amazing issue with the lizard and Stegron at Christmas time. Shut up. That was like my jam, dude. Love it. But anyway, so there you go.
Should we recap?
Sure.
Okay,
I'll just read mine.
Yeah.
Also rans for favorite horror, Midnight Show. Favorite superhero, Wolverine. Oh, it pains me. That hurts my heart not to give the nod to Wolverine. Favorite ongoing, Ice Cream Man. Favorite fantasy, Edenwood. And ain't no love in the manga category for Junji Ito this year. Sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Mine were favorite original graphic novel, Anais Nin, Sea of Lies. Favorite collected edition, Why Don't You Love Me?
I do, though.
Favorite... What's that? Exactly.
I do, though.
Favorite superhero comic, Birds of Prey. Favorite new comic, Transformers. And the big one, favorite nothing, ain't nowhere to be found, Brubaker Phillips, Night Fever, Where the Body Was.
Wow.
All right.
It's a good thing I'm sitting down.
Run is ups. Favorite suspense or horror book, Dark Ride from Image. Favorite new comic, Petrolhead from Image. Favorite limited series, Plush from Image. Favorite fantasy book, Magic Order, Volume 4, Book 4 from Image. And favorite superhero book, Miles Morales Spider-Man from Marvel Comics.
There you go.
And there are no losers in this game. I think all these books are great, and you should just go out and if you haven't read them or sampled them, do so, because you'll probably find something among the giant horde of books we talked about that you'll enjoy. I guarantee it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a little bit of business to take care of before we move on to talk about some comics. We should have did this at the top of the episode.
It's true.
It's okay, but in typical form, fashion, we're going to do it in the middle. So we've been teasing that we are going to change the Patreon for the better. And Jason's going to tell you all about it because Dap and I were just spectators in this. So
well, that's not true.
That's pretty much.
No, what? No, okay.
We would interject and add our 2 cents, but for the most part, you were driving this bus, and I like it that way. So tell them what you did.
I mean, I don't see it that way because I think we need to frame it in a more like holistic view, which is that we decided through many conversations about the site, the podcast. We have tried many things over the years. Some have stuck, some have not. And ultimately we said, you know what? We're at the point, we're entering our 16th year, which is pretty crazy. We only show in 2008. I'm fast approaching 50. Boys are over 50. We're like, you know what? Life's too short. Let's make sure that EOC is only about what gives us joy.
Yes.
And we literally discussed at multiple ways and multiple angles the things that we do related to EOC that we love doing, top of which, of course, is just getting together to talk comics with you jamokes. And the things that we do because we feel like we have to, or there's like momentum behind them, but we don't necessarily love to do, or we don't get a lot of feedback for it, and so we're not sure it's worth the effort. And we ultimately just said, like, you know what, screw it. Let's rebrand the offering on the Patreon and simplify it, and let's focus on providing what gives us joy and let everything else go to the wayside. Doesn't mean it's never going to be there. Doesn't mean we're not going to get an itch to do a little monthly feature or do a post about something. That's all still on the table, but just like committing to doing all these extra things that, again, we didn't really know if like there was much interest in them one way or the other, which is part of the equation. We just kind of peeled it all back and said, let's just keep it simple. So here's the deal. If you're familiar with our Patreon, there used to be 6 tiers. Now, admittedly, a few of the tiers were kind of like tongue-in-cheek aspirational, but they all were there. We cleaned that up. There are only 3 tiers now. There's the existing long-standing $1 tier, which is basically like a tip jar, a thank you, like we appreciate your support type of a thing. That remains unchanged. The $5 tier we've completely revamped. If you're already on the $5 tier, you get the revamp. It's actually, you're probably getting a little bit more. But like all the little sort of like the bells and whistles of getting it, what you get with the main reason we renamed it, the main reason for doing the $5 tier now is you're going to need to do the $5 tier if you want the bonus episode. Some of you may remember that for years, a part of the Patreon was that if we had like enough total Patreon commitments, we would do a 5th or a 6th episode per month. It's going to be different now. We're going to give you the free episodes, which you're listening to now, and Vince will have more to say about that in a minute. But the bonus episode, which may or may not be the book of the month, we have to talk through that. But the bonus episode, like whatever you would consider the 5th bonus episode you would used to getting, will be behind the paywall. You will need to be a member of the $5 or above Patreon to get that episode. So you're going to get plenty of us for free, but if you want that extra Jean, you're going to have to be part of this Patreon. And then last but not least, we had 2 $10 tiers. We now only have the one, and again, most of the people that are in that $10 tier will remain, and that gets you access to the EOC Slack, which is really at this point our only active online community. I mean, David, Vince, and I are all collectively parts of things like Instagram or Reddit or Facebook, but the 3 of us, especially interacting about comics, is pretty much limited to the Slack. It's an awesome place, judgment-free, well-moderated, all super cool people in there being very active, talking about life, the universe, and everything. So that will be, which as it is now, if you pay $10, you get access to the Slack if you want it. And that's it. That is the Patreon now.
That's the whole enchilada.
So that's the whole enchilada. And obviously, we think that's sort of a good balance between supporting the show, which we've always deeply appreciated and continue to do so, and giving, I think, the things that people care about. Because bluntly, we're not sure. There's always going to be a few people that love each little thing that we did beyond that, but we don't know if it's more than a few people. And we made several calls over the last year or two for feedback to suggest like that these features are really popular or be sustained, and we didn't get much feedback. And I think part of that, let's be fair, I think part of that what we've learned is that a lot of you support us, and we love that via Patreon, even though you don't like the Patreon site. And we're not really particularly big fans of the site either, if we're being honest. So a lot of the stuff that we flow through the Patreon, like Vince's daily posts, Dap's daily posts, my art reviews, all the stuff that we do, it doesn't get seen by a lot of you, even if you're patrons, because you just don't go to the site and you don't like the mobile app, and we get that. So we're going to try and take the majority of the stuff that we did on the Patreon feed that we enjoy doing and doing it in the Slack. So, for example, like if Vince is doing a series of covers of the day, which he did. I mean, he's doing other things now, but I don't want to bury the lead. But like we would put that on the Slack now. If I'm going to review the cool pieces from a Comic Link or Heritage Art auction, instead of doing the Patreon, I will put it on the Slack. Same thing if Dap's doing inker feature or some kind of thing that he wants to do, he'll put it on the Slack, and we'll have a channel for that. So it's really good. We're basically trying to transition the majority of our content and conversation into Slack, because it's the place where we actually have engagement and conversation with people.
Yeah,
so
it's very user friendly, unlike the Patreon.
Yeah, correct.
No, I think it's a 1-2 punch of brilliance. Like the Slack was Dap's brainchild, and holy shit, if we didn't have the Slack. The Slack was the enterprise. I mean, for many years. It was taking us, to boldly go, right? But now you deciding that the Patreon content is more appropriate for the Slack. That's the follow-up shot. I think that's very perfect. Yeah.
Nice. Now, we also have another piece of somewhat big news.
I do have a question, though, before you move on tiers.
Please.
So say we get 1,000 $5 patrons that want a bonus episode. We're not going to give 1,000 people just one bonus episode.
Oh, that's fair. Okay,
is it?
That's fair.
Is it on a scale? Like, say we get, 200.
That's entirely up to us, right? I mean, I will say that. I think your point
should be.
What I'm saying is, to your point, we had this. Patreon actually got rid of this ability to tie rewards to overall levels of revenue. I don't know if you noticed that because again, people don't go to the site very often, but that used to be a thing you could do, and that's how we originally set it up, and that's where we had the thing that said if it was over X, it would be 5 episodes. If it was over Y, it would be 6 episodes. They got rid of that entirely at some point. They did a reboot, so you can't that didn't even really exist per se anymore. But we honored it. So I think to your point, I think that's fair. If we get enough $5 subscribers, particularly a bunch of new ones, and the people speak, then I think we're all more than happy to offer up more than one bonus.
And the bonus is curated, whereas before, and I'm sure we're still going to do this to a certain degree. Before, you would get hours and hours of audio that no one heard, but it wasn't really curated. It was just us talking about, picking conceptual scabs, right? Just talking about anything. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're getting a bonus episode, that is a produced episode of varying length, where we talk about nothing but comics, as we do on the upside, top level. So, I think if we get a huge influx of $5 patrons, then I think we should give them more than one bonus episode.
Hey, that'd be a nice problem to have.
Yes,
and then the other big thing, which is for you to discuss as well, is we are, after 15 plus years, somewhat changing the structure of the show, but nothing earth-shattering. So,
it's not a magazine format.
No.
Exactly. This is not
which is a nice shot.
Our friends at AC, but this is not like a different. But go ahead, Vince. Explain what we're.
All right. You're actually going to benefit from the change, because we're not coming to you once per week. We're coming to you twice per week. We're making the episodes a little bit more digestible. Like, you're not going to be listening to an episode for 2.5 hours, but you're going to get it twice a week. So 2 separate entities a week, each and every week.
Yep.
Where I think, it's an hour and change an episode, whereas now you're getting 2 hours and change. It's going to be the same, only different.
Right.
You're
going to get content, no change there. Same structure. We're going to 3 of us going to talk comics. Occasionally we'll have a 4th chair. I mean, none of that's going to change per se.
Tony will be back.
Yeah, but you'll get it in your feed as 2 episodes that are shorter. And I mentioned this. Told you guys I was just having dinner with the fam, and they were asking, what are you guys doing for the show tonight? And I was kind of catching them up to speed on some of these things. And when we started the show, my wife and my kids had no idea what a podcast was, right? Like most of the world, she literally was like, "What do you mean you're starting a podcast with your friends?" I don't know what that is. I mean, but now we're in a world where everybody listens to podcasts of some kind, and so I told the fam, and they were all like, "Oh, that makes a ton of sense. No one wants to listen to 2.5-hour episodes." so I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, now I think the people that are listening to this now are fine with it because that's what we've always been." But again, I think hopefully those people won't mind splitting it up, and then potential new listeners will be more apt to try an hour conversation, right, especially if it's something like an interview or a specific topic. They're like, "Oh, I'm into this," instead of having to, pop on a 3-hour episode and try and figure out where exactly during the conversation we're talking about the thing they want to hear about.
Right. We're going to keep it tight and right. Maybe even terse. In a weird way.
I don't know if we have that in us, but we'll
try. But we're going to bring, for each episode, we're going to bring a very specific amount of things each. Right. It's called One. And talk about it, give it its due. The whole thing is predicated on you're not going to bring a book you didn't enjoy to a 20-minute or so discourse. You're not going to do it, right? You're going to bring something that you are eager to tell or to talk about. So I think it's an all winners situation where it's just going to be. We're going to continue with the 11 o'clock comics positivity, but it's going to be in easier to chew chunks twice a week.
Bam!
Yeah, you'll love it.
Merry New Year, people.
That stupid movie.
Bro, that's my favorite movies of all time.
Well, we all have our tastes.
Oh, my gosh. I have a commission of that from Alex Regal.
I know you do. Does that automatically elevate the movie? I don't think so.
It's an all-time classic.
I mean,
it's an okay movie. It's an okay movie.
This is taking a direction I did not intend for this conversation to take.
Well, okay,
But while we're on the subject of you two being dead wrong about something, that's a great segue. That's a great.
What am I wrong about?
Both. Oh, I thought you didn't like trading. I thought you were alluding with him that you didn't like trading places.
No. I'm not saying that at all. No, I'm. It may not be one of my all-time banger favorites. I enjoyed the movie.
There's two really good things in Trading Places.
Yes, okay, well, both belong to Jamie Lee Curtis.
I was going to say let's not work blue now. We're classy joint.
But it as we all have our picadillos. I mean, yes, Jason enjoys Trading Places, and Vince enjoys anything by Adam Sandler. So
anything.
Really, none of us don't have much legs to stand on. Because
no, it's true. Except Uncut Gems.
Hated one movie that Jason likes of his.
Yeah, hated it.
Yeah. Anyway,
but whatever.
But the joke segue was that you two disliking something I love, and that's where I got to bring up a major thank you because I can't forget it. Because we have been ridiculously fortunate over the years with people being kind to us from the gifts. We've gotten some amazing gifts from folks, like
truth,
just as like a thank you, and it's almost embarrassing at times because it's like they're so kind. You're like, damn, I'm not that kind to you. Well, no, I'm saying, right? Like sometimes people have bowled us over with their kindness, right? It's been remarkable. And that happened this week to me. I received a package in the air mails from a longtime friend of the show, Mr. Tim Meekins.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, you know him. And inside this package was a trove of wonderful things, not the least of which is a couple pieces of art. So I had to shout him out because it's just ridiculous. And so first up is and I'll post these on the Slack, I'll post pictures of them, but is a beautiful little trading card size, fully colored domino by Josh Hood, who was tabled next to fellow Slack member KJ at Heroes, I believe. And then there's an awesome Moby Dick piece by a creator that he met at Thought Bubble named Claude TC. And he also sent me, and I haven't read it yet, Claude's comic, which is called Viscera Sarah, like Que Sera Sera, whatever will bleed. And so it looks super fun, but I haven't read it yet, but I'll speak on that when I do. And then the pièce de résistance, the thing that made me verklempt, and when Wise was joking that it's a good soger from you guys not liking something I love, my man sent me a page from Next Wave.
Holy shit.
The OG Stuart Immonen Next Wave. He sent me a published page from that book, which you all know, jokes. I know you guys didn't. We all, longtime listeners know you two didn't like the book much at all. I adore the book, and it's drawn by Stuart Immonen. I am gobsmacked. I have not seen these pages in the ether of all the years of collecting OA. They rarely have come up as available for sale, and my man procured several. And gave one to me. I'm just gobsmacked by it. It's such a kind gesture. So, thank you, Tim. I will endeavor when I see you at Heroes next year to try and to at least
this year.
Oh, this year, right? Exactly. Yeah, to make good in some way for this kindness. So,
that's wonderful.
I think we lost Vince.
Oh, that Next Wave love.
Yeah, he heard Next Wave and signed off.
He's like, I'm out.
Oh my God! No, I did not hear Next Wave.
You back?
I did, unless I can throw my voice. Yes, I am back.
So there you go. How kind is that?
It's ridiculously kind. Yes,
yep.
But Tim is a good man.
He sure is.
Great man.
Yeah. So. Jason was very thankful that, probably I finally read something.
Oh,
that he said we can all team up on.
Then I didn't know, though, if you were going to not, because you were saying it's probably going to be on our ballot, so.
Well, it is, but I think we should talk about it.
But even then, even if it's on a ballot, like, we can't devote the time to it on the award show.
True. So true. Yeah. Why don't you tell them what it is, Jason?
Time, so.
Well, you didn't number it, so I'm assuming you read the entirety of Dwellings by Jay Stevens.
All of it. Yes.
Which is three large-sized issues.
Depending on where you.
It's the Oni reprint. Oni reprinted the 6 books and put and made them double size. So we got 3 issues from Oni. But the originals are 6 issues.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because I have not read the collection yet. I have the 3 Oni issues.
Yeah, so do I. And
Me too.
our Arbu Ray, he actually, I think it was either crowdfunder. It was one of the crowdsourcing sites where he got them originally when they were crowdfunded.
Okay, so Vince, when you say you read. Are you talking about those 3 that we're talking about, or are you talking about the whole thing?
3 Oni issues, yes.
Okay.
That's all of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, had you not read any of them? Because we mentioned it in passing a few times. I know Tony even mentioned it when he was here, but you hadn't read any of them?
Well, I've been buying them as they've been coming out from Oni, but I didn't read them because I knew it was going to be 3 prestige format issues.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read the first one when I got it in my little grubby hands, but for whatever reason, it didn't pan out. So then by the time the second one came, I was like, oh, well, I might as well just read them all in one shot. Because I did not know, I thought, that the narrative continued over the course of each issue. It does. It is a shared universe type thing surrounding this Canadian town called, I don't even know, do they call them towns in Canada?
Yes. It's called Elwich. Elwich it's a small town of Elwich, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was going to get there. But, so I didn't know whether or not the narrative was connected. So I just waited until the issues all came out. But I guess I would like to preface anything I'm going to say with the fact that this book could have ran dangerously close to being just a really cute Harvey pastiche. And it would have been noteworthy for that.
You mean like Santos Sisters?
Right. And that's the difference between Dwellings and Santos Sisters. Like, I enjoyed the first Santos Sisters. Every issue after, I'm like, do I really need more of this? It's really not doing. But the saving grace of Dwellings is that, yes, it is wrapped in a Harvey Comics pastiche, but the stories are so well done that the stories could exist and be totally satisfying on their own, removed from the Harvey pastiche. That's what won me over with this book. That you didn't really need it, but it was just another very interesting conceptual layer on top of everything Jay Stevens did. Well, I mean, if he did this straight, just illustrated the stories as conceived without the Harvey pastiche, they would have been really successful, compelling pieces of storytelling on their own. But the fact that it has the conceptual hook to unify all of the stories with the Harvey pastiche, I think that book, that decision just elevated this thing far above what it would have been for me. And I love it. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think the stories are really, really well done, exceptionally well done. We all walk away from a horror book saying, were you really scared? Did this really frighten you? Or the one that really gets me, this book is terrifying. No, the book is not terrifying. Because if it was, you would have dropped it and ran away. Right? You can't use terrifying for a work of creative fiction. It just doesn't, it's inappropriate for the word terrifying, right? But whatever. I thought all of the stories had a level of ick, a level of creepiness that was unsettling at the very least. And at best, extremely memorable. And when you're talking 58 years old, extremely memorable is a win, right? If you can stand out from all of the stuff we read on a monthly basis and make me remember, like, oh, okay, that was when, like, you've won, because you've obviously honed your skills to the point where every facet is just blinding, right?
Yeah, I think it's well said. I mean, I think it's you crack it open, and honestly, I didn't glom onto the first issue at first because I thought, just what you were alluding to, I'm like, oh, it's going to be like really cutesy, like maybe a little
rituals of murder,
like a Twilight Zone type of a thing. Like, no, I didn't even think it was going to be. I didn't realize it was going to be legit horror. And then once I saw the discussion of the first issue, I thought, oh, this is dope, and I was able to pick it up and go from there. But no, I'm with you. I think it straddles that fence, which is tricky to do, right? I mean, we've had a few the recent couple years, though. I mean, the Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is in that, again, different art, different visual style entirely, but the same kind of idea of bringing you back to these safe childhood visuals and stories and then showing you a really sadistic violence instead, or horror instead. I would say Stray Dogs fits into that, obviously. Feral will fit into that. So, yeah, I'm with you.
And it's very, very odd because the Harvey pastiche almost disappears at one point. Like by the end of issue 1, I was like, okay. Opening issue 2, it didn't register to me that I was reading a pastiche. It's like, okay, this is the environment for the stories I'm reading. And it almost like the Harvey homage kind of melted away and it became its own thing. That's very hard to do. Like, you can't separate Archie from Santos Sisters because it relies so heavily on these un-Archie acting females, existing within this little bubble. But there's no bubble in Dwellings. Like, the narrative exists independent of the pastiche. It's just you can recognize it and understand it, but I mean, if you gave Dwellings to a bunch of current readers, chances are very good that I don't want to say the majority of readers, but at least half of them would be like, this is beautiful to look at, and not make the connection that this kind of stuff existed a while back on a monthly basis, So yeah, I think where if you unplugged Archie from Santos Sisters, that corpus would die. But if you unplug the Harvey from Dwellings, that body's still going to live and breathe. So that's pretty much the highest compliment I can give to it. That I think Stevens was very smart in deciding to do it within that wrapper, but the stories are just so damn good that you don't even need the conceptual hook.
Yeah. This reminded me. Well, not reminded me, but this I thought would be a perfect conceptual continuity companion to Wally Gropius by Fantagraphics, right? Which was, and not in any way a horror book, but it was a similar idea. It was this Harvey style, Richie Rich style book where it was just a total unapologetic seething send up on capitalism, right? But drawn in that same way. So I think when well executed, these are super fun things.
Initially, I was like, $10 an issue? Wow, that's a bit steep. But it's not when you think about it, because you're getting 2 issues, prestige bound, for the price of 2 issues. I mean,
full color.
Yeah, these days $4.99 is the going rate, right? So I think the presentation and the faux ads.
Oh yeah,
he's so smart because, like Chris Ware, the faux ads actually play into the narratives going on, like the baseball bat. The red and blue baseball bat pops up in an ad for one issue, and there are like little clues. If you're obviously you will read the narratives, because you're not just going to jump out of the book because of a Johnson Smith pastiche ad, but no, all of the text is very cohesive, because it all plays into the same end game. Like Stevens has a goal, and so the pastiche ads add flavor or contribute to reaching that goal. Like, it's just such a smart freaking series.
And it's not even in the same issue. Like the rat poison, you don't see an ad for that until like the 3rd issue. Right. So it's and like you said, it's a shared conceptual universe, but the little gags or Easter eggs, they're not just crammed into the same issue. They might have appeared in one of the 2 stories. They'll be sprinkled out. So if you're paying attention, you get that little callback, and it's just really well done. I mean, it's beautifully illustrated. The stories, again, me not being keen on horror, it still was a very entertaining 3 double-sized issues. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't back it when they were originally announced, so I could have read them ages ago. But but to love and lost. This has just been it's good stuff. I'm so glad that Oni decided to, however it worked out. Jay went to Oni went to Jay. I don't know, but Oni decided to repackage and reprint them, and it's our game. And yeah, absolutely. If they came out again, this is one of those things. If they came out earlier in the year, absolutely would have hit a couple of categories on my O'Closcars. But I can't. I hope we'll get more. But this is an absolute blast. It definitely recommended. There's the stories are the anthology style. They're done in ones, but again, they do connect. You got some detectives who are following up on murders, and they'll pop up again later on. Little the house, the apartment buildings, like they'll show up in the background in later stories. It's the town obviously isn't that big, but just knowing that someone's going to walk down the street past the store that a murder happened in front of in an earlier story. It's It's neat. I like when you can play around with something like that, and it's not a if you're the type of person who wants to read stories where good guys win and evil is vanquished, this may not necessarily be the series for you, but you'll still get a kick out of it. I feel there's nothing wrong with this series.
Yeah, it's I hate to attribute the tendency to him because it was done by scriptwriters before or previous to his existence, but it's the Tarantino Pulp Fiction method, where you have a narrative where something's going on in the foreground, and in the background you see characters that will appear later in the narrative with their roles switched, like someone will be in the foreground. It's easy to do, but it's so gratifying to read, where you're like, oh my God, this is when this, or like this building is the place where this thing happened. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad that I read this before the cutoff date for the 11 o'clock. Like I'm so glad I got around to reading it because as you would expect, this thing factors heavily into my 11 O'Closkers. But for me, I don't think it gets better than the first story.
He does.
That first story is a kick right in the balls.
Great. It really is.
Yeah. I shouldn't say that. Not only the first story, but the entire first issue. I think the two stories in the first issue, Oni format, are the strongest two stories in the entire anthology.
I feel so bad for Dawn.
Hey.
I know. Shit happens. And then Dawn appears in the damn ad in that story, too.
Yes. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. And there's very little light in the Canada, in the dwelling universe. So, no, great. It'll cost you, for the 3 Oni issues, it'll cost you pre-discount $30, but it's well worth it.
There is I believe April is when the collection comes out for these. So, if you slept on them, you can wait till spring and get it all in one shot.
Right. And Dap, if you follow Jay on the Insta, we learned, I think it was today, that there's going to be a Gold Key pastiche.
Ooh!
He's either teaming up with Gold Key or he's doing something, because the Gold Key logo is prominently featured. And it's about a dog, I think. So just go to Insta and look up Jay Stevens, and it's right there. And I don't want to do it now because of the typing sounds, but
Figgy. Furthermore, the spirit guide dog.
The spirit guide dog, yes. So there's more of this coming. It says Gold Key, but it looks Harvey to me. But whatever. I mean, more the same. I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice.
So there you go. This was fun. This is a fun episode.
Big wins, lists, all the things.
Yeah.
It's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
It's true. Yes. And you know who to point the finger at? CheapGraphicNovels.com. Because if you're looking for omnibus editions, trade paperbacks, manga, OGNs, that was a hard category for me. The OGN category. I had I think 9 or 10 contenders.
And 2 of them were Brubaker Phillips. Maybe.
This is true. Yeah. And I will say the Brubaker Phillips did not win in the OGN category.
Ooh. I'm not surprised. Considering what we were given this year, from you, that doesn't surprise me.
I'll give you a little bonus to our top 5 also rans. The closest contender to the winner of favorite OGN was Dying Star from Humanoids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that didn't win, though. But we loved Dying Star. I loved it.
Don't talk about that too much, because I didn't mention it.
Snap.
Oh, okay. All right, pulling out, wiping it off. So yeah, cheapgraphicnovels.com, where you can get all that stuff at a fraction of the retail price and reply to that email saying thank you for ordering, because once you do, Max is going to say you are so smart and handsome and attractive and pretty, where we're going to give you free shipping on your second order. cheapgraphicnovels.com. I have two things for in your travels. In your travels, this is the one I'm going to talk about right now is current. This is current, so you should run out and get this. Our good buddy James Whiting, in the Will Wheaton format, but it's James Whiting Studio. He sent me a copy of the complete world famous creatures.
Nice.
Yes. This is a monster, pun intended, of a tome. It goes for $59.95, cheaper at various other places. But this World Famous Creatures is published by Fantaco and the Whiting Studio, of which James Whiting is the head. Dennis Druck Tennis reprinted the second issue a while back, but to my knowledge, this is the first time all four World Famous Creatures issues have been collected. They were approximately published bi-monthly in 58 to 59 by Magson Publications. I'm a monster kid, so these books go down real easy. And all of the favorite cast of characters are represented. The Terror from Outer Space. You got your Karloff Frankenstein, your Lugosi Dracula. You got Night of the Blood Beast. The whole melange of famous monsters, pun intended, because World Famous Creatures was designed as a famous monsters killer, or at least competitor, because number one, famous is in the title and famous monsters. That's how omnipresent Ackerman and Warren's Famous Monsters was back in the day, where people would just publish magazines to try and take it down. And unfortunately, none of them did. I mean, for the publishers involved. But to give credit where it's due, World Famous Creatures was never a prestige publishing project. These issues were very cheaply produced. Newsprint, crappy paper, crappy cover stock. It was a cash grab to try and knock Forrest Ackerman's Famous Monsters off the newsstand pedestal. But I think it's pretty safe to say that the Whiting Studio and Fantaco have produced the absolute best representation of these hastily produced crappy ass issues that you're ever going to find. That's a compliment. But to get back on track, why, Vince, are you bringing this book to a show about comics? You said it's a monster magazine. It is a monster magazine, but again, remember, it was designed to emulate Famous Monsters. Now, Famous Monsters, if you remember, in the back pages had the Captain Company products, where you can order monster-themed products and have them delivered right to your door. Why is that important? Well, World Famous Creatures did the same thing, and in the back of the issues, all of the products are illustrated by John Severin.
Oh, shit.
Yes. All of these, you can buy Slinky Winky Monster Eyes. You can defend yourself from monsters and creatures. You can buy a rubber jumping frog. All of these and many more are illustrated by the great John Severin. But it doesn't end there. In 2 issues of World Famous Creatures, there are honest-to-gosh comics in there. And in 1 issue, you get I Was a Teenaged Weirdwolf, drawn by very early John Severin. So I feel justified in bringing this to a comic show when we got one of the world's greatest comic illustrators at work within the pages of world famous creatures. So go out and get the complete world famous creatures from Fantaco and Whiting Studio. It is worth every frickin' penny. If you were to buy these issues, they would cost you shit. I think the first one goes for like, it's either the first one or the fourth one that goes for like $100, gem mint condition. This book's only $60. So go. It's a hardcover, and it's heavy, really quality paper. I'm not going to do my second thing because I went long on this. I'll bring it next episode. So yeah, world famous creatures. Go get it. It's beautiful. Nice. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he does some good packaging.
He does.
I like James. Good dude. Yep.
He is a good dude.
In your travels, this was a, as we've talked about Magnetic in the past, they'll do a Kickstarter for some of their projects, and enough get funded and do well enough, they'll end up in previews. I tend to back the ones that you might get some extra perks, like I did it with Paris 2119 and the swag that came with it. Similar to this, this came in a very gorgeous slipcase with a magnetic closure. It is Box Chronicles. It was designed, primarily written by Mark Shea and Chris Northrop. It's an anthology. The Kickstarter was a hardcover, and the slipcase comes with a second hardcover called Black Box Design Space, and that is that's basically if you like your Jake Parker spaceship books, if you like your Next Generation technical manuals, things like that, that's what Design Space is all about. It spotlights the ships and the gear and the technology that we see throughout the main story. Within Black Box Chronicles, all the different stories there. The creative teams, you have artists like Zach Howard, Eric Donovan, Marco Federa, Gavin Smith, David Messina, Michael Ivan Oming, Christian Dabari, Drew Moss. There's a couple of stories, and written, like I said, mostly by Mark Shea or Chris Northrop, and Chris Northrop. But you've got a couple of stories here and there, like by M. Sean McManus, Taki Soma. Surprisingly, she does not write her husband's story, but the idea behind the black boxes are very similar to the black boxes that are on airlines, where they're used to investigate what caused the plane to malfunction. And these black boxes operate in a similar way. They just go beyond that, because we're talking about the great outward expansion. And there are there's two timelines. There's the great outward expansion, which there are a few stories that take place during that era, and then after that, you get the second outward expansion, or what is considered AC, and the they go into great detail before each story to tell you when it's taking place, so you get to see how the technology changes, how people change, what else goes on during these eras. But the AC is what I'm trying to remember. What the AC era, it's there was a change. There was a I believe one of the black boxes had returned from going as far as any ship has gone. The AC stands for after contact, and there's a bit of a shift in the before and after. But the stories are absolutely. It's weird. I was reading this and then looking at the. There's a conversation Jason and I are having with the NC boys and Vander regarding Rolling Stone's silly 150 best science fiction movies of all time, and it occurred to me, and it has in the past as well, especially when things like Alien and Prometheus. There's one genre that I absolutely adore, which I think most of us know is science fiction, and then there's a genre that I'm not a huge fan of, which is horror. And there's a massive the Venn diagram is practically mostly a circle in the middle there with when these genres tend to intersect. And while there are some maybe like Henry style stories in Black Box Chronicles, there's definitely some horror stories because again, scientists find ways to. They're all about exploring and figuring things out, and sometimes we can be stupid and go a little too far and do things that we really shouldn't maybe mess with. But it's the space is scary, and as somebody who's afraid of heights, not necessarily maybe the heights, just the crashing part, but it's insane. And when I think about how many stories that I enjoy, which have to do with the far reaches of space and getting as far away from the planet as possible, but the there's a lot of good in here. There's some stories that a lot of them can tug at the heartstrings. There can be a little emotional. There's parents who their ship had crashed, and the investigator for the company comes to the planet to get the black box, and then another party will show up for grief counseling to take her to the family and make sure that they're okay. But this person has the ability, he can inject the grieving parents to eliminate the grieving because they lost their son in the crash. And the mother says yes immediately. Give me the injection. The father doesn't, because the father wants to grieve, wants to feel that loss. Mom doesn't. And then shortly after she gets the injection, she realizes she made a mistake. Unfortunately, there's no reversing it. And it's little things like that just take a regular story about some guy who may just be coming around to collect the black box because the ship crashed, and now adding another layer to it. And there are a lot of stories that are like that in this book. It's a gorgeous hardcover. I think there's two versions of the cover. The Kickstarter version came with a David Mack cover, which is fine. I kind of like the other cover because the other cover kind of incorporates most of, if not all of, the stories that are in the book. But this was just it's great. I know you can just pick up the Chronicles itself from Magnetic hardcover. I think a soft cover. I think Brian Newberry has the soft cover. I don't know if the design space can come on its own or if it's only bought in the set. But yeah, absolutely. If you can, check it out. Heartily recommend it. From Magnetic, Black Box Chronicles is my In Your Travels for this week.
Nice. In Magnetic we trust. That's for damn sure.
Damn, Skippy.
In your travels, check out Queenie, the Godmother of Harlem. This was published by Abrams Comic Arts through their Megascope imprint. It is written by Elizabeth Colomba with art by Aurelie Levy. And they do a wonderful opening intro about the Harlem Renaissance and introduce us to Stephanie St. Clair. And one of the things, I love well-done autobio comics, but one of the interesting things for me about this one in particular is that it was about a person I knew next to nothing about before reading it. Stephanie St. Clair was a real person. She was basically an immigrant born on a plantation in the French colony of Martinique. She came to the United States in the early, like 1910 or 12 or something like that, to make a new life for herself, as many immigrants were at the time. And she found success basically as a organized crime leader, basically in Harlem up through the Renaissance, particularly once Prohibition happened. She became one of the key figures in running numbers racket and Prohibition alcohol provision in Harlem. And the story takes you through that journey of how she became a badass bitch, and then, frankly, how it all ends for her, which is when Prohibition is revoked. You know, much of the organized crime built around it obviously crumbled, save for the mafia, which kind of consolidated power. And we see all that in this book, in this wonderfully rendered story that I found gripping. And, you know, I would say that the art style is what you might expect of an autobiographical comic. It's really beautifully drawn, where the people look like real people, but it's definitely not photo reference. It doesn't have that hard edge of like that they were Googling images on and then tracing them. It's definitely a consistent line that's certainly not. It doesn't, at least to my eye, it doesn't appear to be aided in any way, but the characters do very much look consistent, and I think are pretty on model to what they look like in real life. But just beautiful, and I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the Harlem Renaissance in that era. Found it wonderfully interesting, and so this reminded me in a way of like a side chapter or side season of Boardwalk Empire. So fans of that show might you really would enjoy this. So if and just a weird thing. I mean, it's kind of a quirky thing, but you know, we get probably numb to the pull quotes in graphic novels and comics because they're largely from the same cast of characters. Where you're not really surprised, like it's, you know, some renowned writer of comics like Neil Gaiman or some website that's talking about how awesome the book is. But the pull quotes on the Queenie hardcover are by Whoopi Goldberg and Regina King, which I think is very interesting. It speaks to how this book is definitely about and geared towards a different audience than is typical of the kind of stuff that we would see in previews. So really, really pleased to have picked it up, and it's Abrams has gotten on my radar lately. They don't put out a ton, which is probably great, but like the stuff they're putting out is very distinctive but very well executed, and so I hope they continue to push into graphic novels aggressively.
Push aggressively. That's almost a World Without End caption box.
Oof, I don't know about all that. That's not a book I want to pull quote for.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you for tolerating Jason one more time. We hope that you come back next time. But in the meantime, go to the sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com to save. Go to the Patreon, see what's new. Patreon.com/11o'clockcomics. We hope that you will become a patron. And because you get everything for a little bit of money. And we get to continue doing this thing. And in the meantime, buy some comics, read them, talk about them, come on the socials, talk about them some more, and then we'll probably be talking about them again next week. So it's just an Ouroboros of comic love. Say goodnight. What the hell's his name? I'm looking for his name around here and I can't find it. I think it's
Darwin?
Ted Daffy? No, it's not Daffy. Dilbert. No, it certainly is not Dylan. Dylan Dog? Cemetery Man? No. Raven? Beans? David.
Good night.
We had a little play going on there. It was a one-act play.
Nice.
Yep.
I liked it.
Dylan. My favorite moment was Dylan. No. Pathos. You're not going to get it. Shouldn't even try.
No, I shouldn't. No, Dave.
You blew it. You whizzed past it.
I did. Yeah, it was days ago.
Yep. It was Darwin.
Deja vu.
We love you people. Come back next time because you're going to get 2 next week.
That's true.
Well, there we go. We're starting next week.
Yes, you tits. It matters to you guys. Don't matter. I'll
we do.
chop on my end. So we go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Choppy.
Choppy sake.
All those words. Tell them you love them, as usual.
Oh, so much. Yeah, of course. My peoples.
That's why we do it.
That's my peoples.
Tony's probably like, but you don't say it all the time.
Well, he keeps us in check.
He does.
It's Vince's second favorite fourth chair.
That's it for that one.